Hey there, and congratulations for getting to this lesson. In the previous videos, we showed you exactly how to sell and communicate through the use of questions, powerful questions, and words. After that, you'll learn how to communicate through your body language. We actually gave you 5 strategies and 3 different cues that you need to read from your client's body language. In this lesson, I'm going to show you the missing 38% of communication. We're going to talk about tonality. And I want to kick this off with a little example. It probably has happened to you, and it's happened to all of us, that you're maybe in the middle of cooking dinner, or you're in the movies, or you're walking down the mall, or you're doing whatever, and then you get a little vibration on your cell phone. You pick it up, and it's a phone call from somebody that maybe you don't even have on your address book, right? So you answer, and it goes something like this. Hello, Mr. Urzúa, how are you? This is John from your bank. I'm talking to you because we want to sell you this. Has that ever happened to you? It's probably the most annoying thing, and it's horrible, especially because, of course, they're interrupting you, but also because of the tonality they use. It just sounds plain dead and boring, and it doesn't transmit any energy. I don't want to talk to people that have no energy and that won't actually express that I'm going to have a great time with them through the tone of their voice. And there was a funny thing that happened to me last week. I was actually in the middle of cooking dinner, and I get a phone call from a number that I don't recognize, and I pick it up instinctively, right? I just pick it up, and the first thing I hear on the other side is, hello, Mr. Urzúa, how are you today? My name is John, and I'm gonna tell you this is the best phone call you're gonna ever get from your bank. Do you have a minute, sir? What happened immediately? I was hesitant to hang up. I was gonna give this guy a shot just because his energy levels and his tonality showed me that I was gonna have a great time and that this was gonna be a different call. And now with this story, you understand the importance and how brutally basic it is that our tonality can actually help with the transmission of emotions and energy to our clients and prospects. And we're gonna we actually have to start with telling you that there's a lot of different tonalities that we use throughout our life. We have a different tonality with our kids, we have a different tonality with our partner, we have a different tonality with our parents, etc. But when it comes to business, there's actually only 3 types of tonality that you need to learn and master, and that if you take notes and pay attention, you're going to be a master of them by the end of this lesson. Now, tonality number 1 is actually the tonality that looks to create rapport. Okay? Tonality number 2 is a tonality that's totally neutral. And tonality number 3 is a tonality that looks to break rapport, right? So let's start with the first one. In tonality number 1, this is actually the tonality that we're gonna use in 90% of our lives as a salesperson. It's a tonality where you seek to build trust, you seek to be liked, you seek to simply be somebody that's enjoyable to be with and to transfer positive energy to the person that's right in front of you. What are the characteristics of this tonality? It's usually a little bit on a higher note, and it actually shows on the last syllables of every word. So let's say you're waiting in line to go to the bathroom at a concert, right? And suddenly you walk up to the first person and you go, hey, excuse me, would there be any chance in the world that you let me go right before you? It's an emergency. Did you notice that? I was trying to be liked. I was trying to get them to drop their guard and drop their defense and go like, oh, this guy is totally inoffensive. He's a cool guy, I like him, right? That is where we should be 90% of the time as a salesperson, okay? Now, tonality number 2 is a neutral tonality. This is a tonality that we usually use when we're tired or when we're actually lacking energy. And it's a tonality that I would tell you to avoid at all costs when you're trying to make somebody feel or influence them. But you probably have, by mistake, fallen into it in the past. I'm gonna give you an example. You're walking down the office and you have to deliver a report to somebody. And you just go into his cubicle and go like, hey John, here's the report. If you have any questions, let me know. And you walk by, okay? That is a neutral tonality. If you see it, it's defined just by its name. It's totally neutral. It lacks energy. It lacks any type of transference of emotion. It actually shows up that you're not really interested or that you're not a very interesting person. So avoid this at all costs, right? And now we go to the last type of tonality that we need to use. And this is a tonality where we intentionally seek to break rapport, okay? I have to warn you, you have to be very careful with this tonality. Because if you use it in a wrong context, it might offend some people, or it might just show that you're not flexible or that people don't want to work with you. but in other cases, it comes very in handy. Why? Because it's usually on a lower note, and you mark the end of the words in a way sharper kind of manner. So I'm gonna give you an example. Imagine that you have a client right in front of you that's angry, and he went to the point of maybe using a bad word, which is totally inappropriate. You would stand in front of them and go, "Mr. John, if you continue using that type of language, I am not gonna be able to help you." Did you see that? I was on a lower note, and I was also marking my words very strongly. Well, let's say that you're just signing the contract, and it's the last minutes of that deal where they're about to pay, and you have this type of clever customer that goes like, "Oh yeah, but you also mentioned that you're gonna give me that extra bonus," when that bonus wasn't even on the table. That is another situation where you might go like, "Mr. John, just to be very clear, because I don't want any type of confusion in the future, I'm not gonna be able to give you that." And you just wait. And what happens? That if in that scenario you would have used a very high note and the seeking rapport kind of tonality, his subconscious mind would be like, "Oh, maybe I can still bargain with it," right? But if you use that lower note, he's really understanding that this is not a flexible point and that he needs to either buy or stop, right? So be careful with that. Recapping, you have 3 types of tonality: seeking for rapport, neutral rapport, and breaking rapport kind of tonalities. Start being conscious of them right now. And on the next lesson, we're gonna do something incredible. I'm gonna actually help you beat and overcome a salesperson's probably biggest nightmare, which are objections. We're even gonna talk about the famous "let me think about it." So if that sounds useful, I'll see you in the next video.